This is Dolynny TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion here on the channel. And today we continue, sorry, bubble in my throat, the whole aspect of how to keep upgrading this team, right? Obviously, free agent signings aren't really the best way to go with the limited cap space we have. We have to make sure we get everyone signed who we need to sign, and then see what we have left after that. So that leaves us with like I said, limited room to make the right move. And I've suggested Connor Brown, I've suggested Brendan Gallagher, whatever side of those fences you fall on, you got to look at it from the Oilers' perspective. That is all these videos are from. So essentially today, my Detroit people who are tuning in, remember, this is not from a Detroit, why would Detroit do this? This is not from a Detroit fan perspective. This is not from a Detroit management perspective. This is from an Oilers fan perspective on what would upgrade the team. Hopefully I don't have a flub like Montreal fans tried to take me out to town on the Brendan Gallagher video, but let's get right to it. Obviously, there's a young guy in Detroit who's shown a lot of promise in the past, well, I'd say 2 years, 17, 18, 18, 19, and at, how old is he? He's 24, so he'll be 25 this season. Yeah, there we go, getting the math going. That's Tyler Bertuzzi. And Tyler Bertuzzi, I tried to get in touch with a Wings fan, didn't work so well early this morning. However, essentially Tyler Bertuzzi is a guy who is calibered to be a top-line player in Detroit. Now in Detroit, when their roster looks as such, right, their roster is Dylan Larkin, Franz Nielsen, Justin Abdelkader, Darren Helm, Anthony Mantha, Andres Athanasiou, and then you've got Luke Glendening, Tyler Bertuzzi, Jacob Delarose, and like you see where I'm going, Michael Rasmussen, Evgeny Svechnikov, and Thomas Vanek. That's Thomas Vanek's CFA. Don't expect him back there, but that's exactly why I think you've got Tyler Bertuzzi slotted in as a top-line winger in Detroit. Not necessarily saying he isn't. That's not what I'm saying. And that's not what I'm saying the Oilers need to trade for him and make him a top-line winger. No, what I'm saying is essentially the fact that he would be a perfect prototypical on a competing team for not just the playoffs, but a series or two win. Well, he'd be a perfect prototypical second-line left or right winger. He can play both from what I'm seeing on Cap Friendly. And essentially you're asking yourself, who's on our second line? Well, that's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And that allows you to have a legitimate winger for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who, now under the guise that he is a top-line player in Detroit, has the ability to play on the top line with the power duo of Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. So a little bit about Tyler Bertuzzi, 24 points in 48 games played in 17-18. He also played some games down in the AHL, was almost point per game. And then, well, 47 points in 73 games played in 18-19, 21 goals, 26 assists on a Detroit team that, yeah, kind of needed guys to step up, that's for sure. If only the Oilers could have gotten that kind of production out of somebody making $1.4 million. And that's the other side. That's the side note I just threw in there, but should be a leading factor is that he has a $1.4 million contract through this year, and then he is an RFA going into the end of next season. So that's huge for us. For the Oilers, that would be huge to acquire. The question is, if you're the Edmonton Oilers, in all of this, fine and dandy, you can sit here and mull over Tyler Bertuzzi, how good he looks. What is it going to cost the Edmonton Oilers to get a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi? And I think in my mind, it's obviously going to cost one of Yamamoto or Puljujarvi. Now, Bertuzzi is a guy that I think Detroit will package out with something else, whether that be a younger player or a pick, I'm not sure. But the way I see it is Yamamoto or Puljujarvi. The reason I'm not so keen on saying Puljujarvi 100% in this is he is an RFA right now. We don't have him signed, so to say you could trade a guy's rights, that doesn't exactly bring in perfection results from Detroit if you're just trading rights. And then you obviously have to look at clearing a log jam on the back end. And for Detroit, if you're Detroit, you're not taking, in my estimation, Andrej Sekera or Chris Russell, two 30-plus guys, because you look at Detroit's defense, and they've got Mike Green, who's 33 years old. They've got Danny DeKeyser, who's 29. They've got Jonathan Eriksson, who's 35. They've got Trevor Daley for 35. And then Madison Bowie is the only other one there, 24 years old, who has a contract. Cronwall and Witkowski, while they're 29, 38, but they both don't have contracts. So right there, that's the issue. Now you flip over to the Oilers side. Well, then who do you send that could potentially fill that young role in Detroit while also having leadership qualities, while also having the ability to play defense? Well, a guy that Oilers fans claim can play defense, but did everything but this last season, is Adam Larsson. So you throw in a guy like Kailer Yamamoto or Jesse Puljujärvi, Adam Larsson in there as well. You're giving up two great caliber players, one who's unproven, one who's proven. Proven to what extent, I wouldn't really say with Adam Larsson. However, there you go. You've got two great players going back to Detroit for somebody they have slotted as a top line winger. Is it fair? Is it good? I don't know. And that's where I kind of sit in here and I throw in a little bit of added value. If you're the Oilers, you have a third round pick to be using. I don't know why you wouldn't use it to ship out, right? You've got a first, you've got a second, you don't have to worry about it. You've still got your fourth, sixth, and seventh, and you can trade away somebody else to make room for a fifth round pick if you want one. And so that gives you Yamamoto or Puljujärvi, Larsson, and a third round pick for Tyler Bertuzzi. Now, if you're Ken Holland, this is where, if you're trying to deal with Detroit, you say, hey, we're trying to make you better as well as make us better. Hey, I know what you guys need. I was here all last year. Don't kid yourself. I know what you need. And if you're going in there, you try to grease a high pick. Now, a high pick's not the first round pick from Detroit. You're trying to grease a second, in my opinion. So Tyler Bertuzzi in the second for that Oilers package. Is it going to go through? I don't know, but it's a very good avenue, just like everything else I've suggested, to look at to upgrade this Oilers team. You look at a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi, who, if you caught my video yesterday on 82 CPA, 82 game career production average, it's a very simple little formula that you have to do a lot of complicated things with, but you take career points per game and then multiply it by 82. Now keep in mind, Tyler Bertuzzi has never played a full 82 games in his career. However, 73 games is as high as he got, and he got 47 points. So right there, hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen, as a .55 points per game career average at 24. So he's still got a lot of growing in his game for the next 3 years to do. And that gives him an 82 CPA, 82 game career production average of 45.8 points over an 82 game season for every year of his career. Is that bad? I think that's excellent, and I think that's exactly what a guy like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins could use. And you imagine what a guy like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins would benefit from having a 45, 46 point winger instead of guys like Alex Chiasson, Jesse Puljujärvi, Milan Lucic, right? Chiasson did as well as he damn could, and we can never, ever blame him for what he did in Edmonton this year. However, you sit here and you look at some of the other wingers, Toby Reeder, right? You just look at the names that went through there, and it just did not work to as good as it could have. It could have been much, much better of a season for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had he had a consistent line mate who went out there and put up that kind of production. Now, obviously, you look at where the roster spots and stuff come from. If you trade Jesse Puljujärvi right there, that is 1 for 1 essentially. One roster spot for another roster spot guy coming in, and then you're clearing up a defensive hole for either Caleb Jones, Joel Person, you've got Ethan Bear, Evan Bouchard if you want to throw him in there, right? You've got options down there for that defensive hole left by Adam Larsson, and that gives you a lot to work with if you trade Yamamoto, Puljujärvi, one of the two, Larsson, and a third round pick for Tyler Bertuzzi, and whatever pick you can get back, as long as it's a third or a second, you are doing just fine and dandy. So guys, that's where I'm going to leave it. That's my argument. I'm not saying anything bad about Bertuzzi. I'm not saying anything bad about Detroit fans. I'm not saying anything bad this time. I'm trying to keep it clean, even, go across. 1.4 mil, that would save. The last number I need to give you is if you trade away Larsson for Bertuzzi, you're saving just over $2.7 million in cap space as well. So it's a cap saving relief as well. And everyone thinks that you need to trade Nugent Hopkins for Mantha. Well, hey, I think I just solved the issue. Guys, I'm Tyson, this is Dolynny TV. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure to leave a like, and we will catch you in the next one.